Welcome to Comic Power. I am your host, Comic Killer 72. Welcome to Wicked Wednesday, where we discuss all the new comics that's coming out this week. Every Wednesday is like Christmas for us nerds because that's when the new comics come out. These are my recommendations for the best books to pick up on Wednesday. But here's some other information first. I don't have time to do in-depth movie reviews, so here's what I got. Justice League gets a 3 out of 5 stars, and Thor Ragnarok gets 4.25 out of 5 stars. I advise you to go see any comic book movie unless it's disastrous like Fan-4-Stick. The better these movies do, the more we get, and more is better than less. Also, be sure to click on the bell at my page. That's a notification of when a new video is up. It will alert you. So now let's get into New Comic Day. That's what we're here for. Close to the end of the year is annual season, so you'll be seeing a lot of those. And DC Comics has given us Batman Annual number 2. This travels back in time to explore the relationship between Batman and Catwoman. If they listed their relationship on Facebook, it would say it's complicated. Please note the cover price is $5 on this. Next up is Batman Creature of Night, number 1 of a 4-part miniseries. This is a young Bruce Wayne story taking place shortly after the death of his parents. If you like pre-Batman Batman stories, then this is for you. But be warned, the cover price on it is $6. Next up is Batman Devastator number 1, which is going to a second print, and Batman Red Death number 1, which is going to a third print. These are one-shot spin-offs from the Dark Knight's Metal series. It delve into the horror genre, and some very strange things are happening. They're great set books for what's about to come next. As DC continuity crashes into Watchmen continuity. Next up, and no, it's not Batman, is Super Sons Annual number 1, and they're bringing in the Super Pets Unleashed. So you're getting Crypto and Titus again. That's a good idea to put them in Super Sons, so we won't put them in the main continuity of Superman and Batman and make them look corny. But you can do that here with the spin-off on these kid characters. Next up is Mystic U, number 1 of a 3-part miniseries, which is going to star Zatanna. She enrolls in a university that's going to teach her how to use her magic better. Please note the cover price on this is $6. Next up is New Talent Showcase 2017 number 1. This is the first published work of the latest graduates from the DC Talent Development Workshop. They do this every year, and it's a very good idea. You have stories that's written by veterans like Jim Lee and others, and all the art's done by newcomers. You never know who's going to be the breakout talent in here, and this is going to be their first published work. The price tag on this is $8. Next up is Justice League of America Annual number 1, as secrets of Lobo are revealed. Only Batman knew why Lobo was on the team in the first place, but there's some things that are going to come out that's going to be revealed here. Price tag on this is $5. Next up, coming on trade paperback, is Odyssey of the Amazons. This is a 6-part miniseries compiled into one collection as it shows the Amazons take on the Valkyries. I really dig that cover, and I'll be checking this out. It's on sale normally for $17, but Things from Another World and other websites are selling it for about $12. Next up, let's see what Marvel is up to, and that's going to be Jean Grey number 9. This is part 2 of the Psych Wars storyline where she's trapped in the mind of the White Queen. It looks like the cover is inspired by some Salvador Dali art. It's very trippy with a hallucinating feel to it. Next up is Dark Hulk number 51. This is the return of this character. You can think of this as a number 1 issue for real. Marvel is going back to the original lettering for Legacy. This character was first introduced in Dark Hulk number 1 back in 1991, and believe it or not, this issue used to go for more than New Mutants number 98 used to back in the day. It's amazing how things change. If you still like Dark Hulk, then you can go ahead and pick this up. But if you think he should stay in the 90s, then put it down. Next up is America number 9, and this is part 2 of the Exterminatrix storyline. It's a new female villain that was introduced first in issue number 8, and it's intentionally campy and an obvious spoof of female character design in comics back in the 1970s. Next up is Old Man Logan number 31, and we're introduced to the Scarlett Samuari. Who is this character, by the way? I couldn't find anything new about who she is. Marvel blurred out the face on the advanced art, so I'm assuming that she is new. Hit the comment section and let us all know if this character has appeared before, but I don't think she has. I think she's brand new. So that makes this issue even that more exciting. Next up is Spider-Gwen number 26, and this is part 2 of the Gwenom storyline. And S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up, and they are there to capture Gwen and the Venom symbiote. I'm kind of burned out on Marvel doing all of the mashups, but this is a natural progression of this story. So I have to admit, I'm paying attention to this. Issues number 24 and 25 both went to second prints. Next up is Star Wars Jedi of the Republic Mace Windu, number 4 of a 5-part miniseries. What else do you need to know? It's Star Wars, and it's based on the character that Sam Jackson played in the prequels. It's been an awesome read. If you haven't picked it up so far, you might want to wait until the trade paperback comes out later and just get all 5 issues in one collection. Next up is Venom number 158 as he takes on Kraven the Hunter. This is an awesome mashup, and it really makes sense because Kraven the Hunter basically travels all over the world looking for new things to conquer. So him taking on Venom, yeah, that would make sense in what he would try to do. The Kraven character is supposed to be deceased, but this is comics where no one really ever dies. All these universes start crossing over with each other and nobody really knows what's going on. So you just have to enjoy comics month for month because the continuity is just all over the place. Next up is our report on independent comics and small publishers. Let's go ahead and start with Image Comics. Some people don't even consider them an indie anymore. They consider it the big three, Marvel, DC, and Image, but I still consider Image an indie. It may seem like it's more, but they're only about 10% of the comics sold in terms of market share. But in critical acclaim, they're taking about 70% of the major award. In saying that, let's get started with Black Magic number 9. This is written by Greg Pak and drawn by Nicola Scott, who I think is the best female artist in the game right now and one of the top 10 overall. It's about a female detective that is secretly a witch, and both of her worlds are going to collide. She can't keep her secrets forever. It's been optioned for a TV show, and man, I hope this happens. This would be an awesome show. It would feel like Jessica Jones, but with a magical twist to it. Next up is Hack Slash Resurrection number 2. If you're not familiar, think of this character sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but a little bit darker. Instead of vampires, she's taking on monsters called slashers. Next up is Kill or Be Killed number 14. This is a Eisner-nominated series about a vigilante named Dylan who takes to the streets to wipe out the scum after surviving a suicide attempt. It's dark, creepy, twisted, and absolutely brilliant. The writer Ed Brubaker made my list as one of the top 20 writers in comics these days. Next up, and a personal favorite of mine, is Motor Crush number 8. It's a story of a female African-American motorcycle racer told about 50 years in the future. It's drawn in a manga-influenced style, and the people who created this used to work on Batgirl in the New 52 Days. I think this title is highly underrated. Issue number 1 made my list as one of the top 10 comics of 2016. Next up is Spawn number 280. Todd McFarlane has walked away so he can concentrate on the next Spawn movie. So he's put this in the hands of Derek Savage as the writer and Jason Shawn Alexander as the artist. So the look and feel of Spawn is going to look a whole lot different for right now. Spawn has always been a horror series at its heart, but this style is going to deep horror. And that's not bad, it's just different. That's it for Image, but there's still more indies to talk about, so don't touch that dial. I think that's a pre-internet phase that won't play out, will it? Okay, don't touch that mouse. But what if you're on a tablet and there's no mouse? Okay, just don't touch anything, just keep watching. Next up is Fujitsu number 3 from Aftershock Comics. This is one of the strangest comics out there these days. It's a story of the world's smartest boy who must fight all types of threats. In this one, he travels back to 1959 and teams up with football star Johnny Unitas to fight another threat. And Johnny U's code name is the Golden Arm. That's just strange. Issue number 1 was my pick of the week for September 27th. You might want to go back and watch that to find out what's going on. Next up is Killbox Chicago number 4 of a 4-part miniseries from American Gothic Press. This is the finale of this underrated series. It's a story about organized crime factions fighting against each other for control. If you missed it, pick up the trade paperback when it drops. Next up is Lola XOXO Volume 2 number 5 from Aspen Comics. The premise you've seen before is a woman who has to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. But what makes this shine is the art by Sia It's some of the best in the business. I wish all comics would look this good. This is issue 2 of a 5-part miniseries, by the way. And it comes with 3 different covers. Cover C is a limited 1:10 ratio variant. Next up is Jim Henson's Labyrinth 2017 special number 1. This is a collection of short stories celebrating the various characters and creatures from the world Labyrinth. Personally, I think that Jim Henson must have been on cocaine to think up something this crazy. It's some real twisted fantasy. The price on this is $8, by the way. And it's shipping with 3 different covers. Next up is Medicine number 6. This is the story of down-on-their-luck doctors who are blackmailed into giving medical care for supervillains. The artwork looks kind of sketchy, but the story is incredible. This comic series got its start as a Kickstarter, if you believe that. Next up is Betty Page number 5, and this is based on the pinup model who was popular back in the 1950s and 1960s. She's a real American icon. This is going to ship with 6 different covers, and it's published by Dynamite Entertainment. So tell me, are you team Marilyn Monroe or team Betty Page? Sound off in the comment section. Next up is the speculation pick of the week. and that's going to be John Wick #1, also from Dynamite Entertainment, and this is based on the action thriller movie of the same name, starring Keanu Reeves. Was it Keanu or Keanu? I can never say his name right for nothing. He rose to a major star in Hollywood these days, and I would have never thought that after I saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that he would ever become this important. But movies like Speed and most of all The Matrix Part 1 are really what made him a household name. Coming out of nowhere in 2014, John Wick the movie was a surprise hit, and it really made you pull for him. And his enemies should have never killed that puppy. John Wick Part 1 made $88 million worldwide on just a $20 million budget. Part 2's budget was unknown, but it made $171 million. It's one of those times where a smaller movie becomes a bigger movie in the sequel based on word of mouth. But anyway, here's the comic tie-in, so you might want to pick this up. And John Wick Part 3 is in production as well. Alright, we still got a few more indies to discuss, so don't leave yet, including Rick and Morty #32 from Oni Press. In terms of adult cartoons, I think that The Simpsons ruled the 90s, South Park ruled the aughts, and now it's Rick and Morty's time. Oni Press was very smart to get the license to this early in the game. Next up is Chasing Hitler, #1 of a 5-part miniseries from Red 5 Productions. This takes place at the end of World War II, where two servicemen have to confirm that Hitler is dead or not. It's a fictional story, but it's based on real world events. If you're a fan of war stories, then this is for you, but the print run is going to be crazy low. You may have to ask your LCS to order this for you. Next up is Marquee Prowler #1 from Red Giant Entertainment. This is going to be a cross-dimensional adventure. And yes, that cover is a swipe of Back to the Future, that famous poster. This comic, like many other time-traveling adventures, are influenced by Back to the Future, and that's a good thing. Back to the Future is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's just excellent. Next up is Solar Flare, which goes out on trade paperback from Scout Comics. It collects all 6 issues of this excellent title so far. It's basically the story about what happens when a solar flare wipes out all communications and electricity, and how the world survives after all telecommunications are wiped out. The thing about the story is it's not science fiction. This actually could happen. We're all doomed. We'll go from advanced technology down to Mad Max in just 2 days. Next up is Quarry's War, which is on Titan Comics, a subdivision called Hard Case Crime. This is a comic adaptation of the novels of the same name. This is going to ship with 3 different covers, and if you're a fan of illustrated crime stories, then this is definitely for you. The art and the writing is some of the best in the business. Next up is Eternity, #2 of a 4-part miniseries from Valiant Comics. This is Valiant's answer to what Jack Kirby did with the Eternals when he was with Marvel, and the New Gods when he was with DC. Eternity ties into Divinity, my favorite book of 2016. It's the same artist and writer team with Matt Kent and Trevor Harsan. It'll ship with 5 different covers, so if you're a Kirby fan, you'll definitely like this. Next up is War Mother, #4, and first of all, the David Mack watercolor covers are excellent. It's about a woman fighting for her tribe and surviving in the 41st century. Think Furiosa from Mad Max. It's going to ship with 4 different covers. And then there's Reactor, #1 of a 4-part miniseries from Vault Comics. I really like what Vault is doing. They previously published Heathen and Alien Bounty Hunter to some acclaim. This is written by Donnie Cates. He's a very busy man these days. Over at Image, he had massive acclaim for writing God Country and Redneck. He also had a nice hit with Baby Teeth over at Aftershock Comics. He appears to be an unstoppable wave of creativity because he's over here at Vault now giving us Receptor, a sci-fi series based on vampire warfare and overpowered mech suits. Reactor looks strong enough to be my runner-up pick of the week. These Vault comic #1s have usually been under 6,000 copies, so they're definitely worth taking a chance on at $4. If they keep putting out good stuff like this, then these #1 issues are going to be very hard to find later and go up in value. And don't forget about G.I Joe issue 246. We're getting introduced to a new Snake Eyes, and it's going to be a female version. It's going to ship with 4 different covers. I think this is going to be a novelty. It'll sell well for the first 2 weeks, but I don't see it long term being a good investment because I expect a very high print run, and I don't think the demand is going to match the supply. You know the drill. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, and share these videos on social media so others learn about comic power. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching Wicked Wednesday, where I review all the new comic books for a new comic day. Be sure to follow my blog at comicpower.net. On social media, follow me at facebook.com/comicpower.net and comicpower-universe.tumblr.com. And don't forget twitter.com/comicpowersub. I also sell comics on eBay at this link. This is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye. And don't forget to share this video, click on subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and tell everyone you know about this channel to help it grow. Thank you for your support.